Tough events in life teach us hard lessons sometimes. It's important when those events occur that we don't miss the lesson that's being provided. In essence, we don't want to waste the opportunity to learn prior issues that we've had to face. When you think about the COVID-19 experience, there are so many lessons that are being learned through this experience, and it's important for us to pause and think through some of those. I'll touch on a few, and there are more than I'll touch on, but let me touch on some of those that sort of pop to my mind. So I'm going to use the old David Letterman top 10 list of lessons that we're learning from the hard lesson of the pandemic. The first lesson that comes to my mind is the importance of focusing on the most important. When you think about what COVID is teaching and has taught, it's helped us realize what's really important in life, what's important to our business, and we've centered our focus on the most important, and that's been our priority focus as we're dealing with this. Sometimes we allow a lot of other things to distract us. If we could get our eye back on the ball, I think COVID is reminding us of the value of really keeping your eye on the ball. A second experience or lesson learned is the benefits of collapsing silos. When you think about most business organizations, we have so many business functions that exist that we have a lot of silos. I think COVID has quickly broken down silos where people are coming together in a very quick way to collaborate, to talk through issues and to solve challenges that are in front of us. Tied to that is then the important lesson of the importance of communication. During this experience of COVID, we've seen the loss of being able to communicate with each other when we walk down the halls. So we've had to do different things to restore that. Phone calls, conference calls, video conferencing, all those kinds of things, just to get that communication flow. And as we're scattered about, the importance of communicating and dialoguing with our team has become even more critical. So it's highlighted we need to be talking, we need to be discussing issues, and I think that has come to play as a lesson learned. It also is showing us the benefits of increased transparency. I think we've been more honest in a lot of ways about our businesses, particularly the risk. There's been less reluctance among executives to say, there's some challenges here. Pre-COVID, maybe I'm a little hesitant to reveal a risk in my area of responsibility because I don't want to incriminate my capabilities as a manager. At this point, we're just sort of putting things all on the table, and transparency has allowed for so much more dialogue and richness in our really solving the problem that there's so much benefit of more a transparent approach to communicating and some honesty about the real situation that we face. The fifth lesson is it's highlighting the reality that we depend on assumptions. Our business models all depend on assumptions that we're having to make about our ability to sell a product because we don't have a crystal ball. We have to make assumptions. I think COVID has really taught us we're making a lot of assumptions about our ability to be successful. I think what we're learning is we need to, if I knew what those assumptions were in more depth, I named them in advance, I'm better able to manage the result of that if the assumption ends up changing on me. I think COVID is also teaching us the benefits of out-of-the-box thinking. When you think about what we've had to do to respond to the COVID experience, we've had to really think about everything so differently. How do we get people to work? How do we engage them remotely? How do we sell to customers in a whole different way? How do we do social distancing? We've had to quickly do a lot of creative thinking and out-of-the-box thinking. And a lot of that is leading to some pretty interesting new strategic opportunities that may last for a long term and lead to all new kinds of businesses. So there's a positive of that out-of-the-box thinking. Tied to that is it highlights the need for being agile, so agility, and resiliency. We've quickly had to pivot. And we've all had to get comfortable quickly with that ability to move on a pin ahead of a pin, turn on a dime, all those phrases, that idea of I need to be more agile. I got to be willing to change and adjust very quickly, but I need to have an element of endurance just to know it's going to be bumpy. And it's not going to be easy, but if I can just hang with it with some perseverance, we will be more resilient in the long run. The eighth lesson that pops to my mind is it reminds us, risk reminds everyone that they have risk management responsibilities. When you think about risk, what we're learning is we've all, as we tried to solve the challenges popping up because of COVID, all hands on deck kind of issue of really trying to solve some of the challenges. We know we're facing risk. It's everyone's job to be a risk manager, not just the CRO, but it's everybody's job to manage risk. And I think COVID is reminding us that we all have a role to play. There is also a lesson on the investing in scenario planning. And this is one of those we might be learning later than we prefer, because before COVID, a lot of ERM leaders might have tried to engage their executive teams in thinking about some hypotheticals, some scenarios that could emerge. In a lot of cases, the ERM leaders gotten pushback from the executive team saying, that's wasting our time. We got more important things we need to think about. And so they would set aside doing scenario plans and thinking through a lot of potential hypotheticals that could affect their business. I think we're now realizing there may be some real value in thinking about those really, really low probability events, but that could be catastrophic, like the pandemic experience that we've been going through. And I think we're realizing and hopefully getting a little more buy-in to it might be worth our executives' time to really spend more time once we get beyond the crisis moment to think about more scenario planning for the future. And then the last lesson, well, I shouldn't say last because there are so many more lessons than 10, but the 10th one I'm going to list is it's just a reminder that we live in a world of uncertainty. And we cannot change that reality. As much as we often don't like change, change is always going to be there because we live in a world of uncertainty, things we just don't know about the future, and we need to embrace that reality that uncertainty exists. Change will occur. Some of those changes will be quite disruptive, and I need to just embrace that reality. But hopefully that motivates me to say, if we're living in a world of uncertainty, maybe it is worth my time and effort to think more about how we think about risk so I can have more of a formalized thinking and plan for these experiences like this that we're going through. So let's not miss the lessons, the benefit of the hard lessons that we're learning through this COVID-19 experience. Here are 10 thoughts of things that we can be takeaways from this that hopefully we can carry forward when things return to a more new normal. And we want to keep a list for what's 11 through 20 and 25 because there'll be more lessons we're going to continue learning.